In our session today, we're going to embark on an exploration that's as fascinating as it is human, a journey into our senses. Through our senses, we're tied into a world rich with experiences, each more vibrant and real than the last. But how often do we actually pay attention to these gateways of perception? Throughout this exploration, we'll focus on the practices that can help us tune into our senses and make the most of our daily experiences. Our senses, in essence, serve as our bridges to the world outside. They interpret, analyze, and finally present us with our perception of reality. And yet, we're often stuck on autopilot, barely noticing the vast spectrum of sensory input available to us. How does this lack of awareness influence our daily lives? We tend to be reactive rather than proactive. We're often disconnected from our environments, stuck in our heads, and missing out on the vivid reality around us. The world we live in is a sensory delight, full of sounds, smells, textures, tastes, and sights, waiting to be discovered. By consciously tuning into our senses, we're opening ourselves up to this ever-present richness. Our vision is our most relied upon sense. It's the primary way we navigate and make sense of our surroundings. However, in our fast-paced lives, we often gloss over the minutiae, the subtleties that make our visual world so rich and diverse. Sight is not just about seeing, it's about perceiving. Every object, every person, every situation we encounter is imbued with colors, shapes, and movements that our minds interpret to create our visual perception of reality. This visual perception can be enhanced when we take the time to really see, to notice the smaller details, the overlooked aspects of our surroundings. When we observe without judgment, when we truly see, we're granted a glimpse into the world as it is, and not just as we believe it to be. Our sense of hearing provides us with a wealth of information. From the barely audible whisper of a breeze to the booming crash of thunder, our ears are constantly processing sounds. These sounds offer us a distinct perspective of our world, one that doesn't rely on visuals. Sounds can be transient and fleeting, making them uniquely captivating. By consciously tuning into the sounds around us, we can cultivate a deep appreciation for this ever-changing auditory landscape. Whether it's the rhythmic patter of rain, the melodious chirping of birds, or even the distant rumble of traffic, each sound has its own character and story to tell. Smell is one of our most primal senses, deeply tied to our emotions and memories. A scent can take us back in time, remind us of a place, a person, or an event. Despite this, it's often overlooked, underutilized in our daily lives. By consciously engaging with our sense of smell, we can enhance our understanding of our world. We can experience our surroundings in a different, more intimate manner. The scent of fresh grass, the comforting aroma of a warm meal, the refreshing fragrance of citrus, each scent holds an experience, a memory, a connection waiting to be made. Taste, one of our most pleasurable senses, often gets taken for granted. Eating becomes a task to be completed, a box to be checked off in our busy schedules, and we miss out on the rich experience that food offers. Consciously engaging with our sense of taste can transform the act of eating. It turns it into a journey of exploration and appreciation, where each flavor, each texture comes alive. It's not just about satiating hunger, but about embracing and enjoying the culinary bounty that our world has to offer. Our skin, our largest organ, is a complex network of nerves, constantly relaying information about our environment. Yet, the richness of tactile experiences often gets pushed to the sidelines. When we engage with our sense of touch, we open ourselves up to a new dimension of experiences. The softness of silk, the rough texture of a tree bark, the cool touch of a metal surface. These are all experiences that connect us with our physical world in a direct and personal manner. Besides our 5 physical senses, we also possess a more elusive but incredibly powerful sense, our intuition. It's our inner compass, a guiding voice that can lead us towards choices that are in line with our deepest desires and values. Tuning into this inner wisdom, as elusive as it might sometimes seem, can bring us a sense of coherence and harmony with our lives. But how do we begin to recognize and listen to our intuition? One way is by learning to quiet our mind, to make space for this subtle voice to emerge. This quieting can happen through practices like meditation or simply spending quiet time in nature. When our minds are less cluttered with thoughts and distractions, our intuition has a chance to make itself heard. Yet, intuition isn't always a whisper. Sometimes it's a gut feeling, a physical sensation that gives us clues about our environment or situation. Paying attention to these sensations, these gut feelings, is another way of harnessing our intuitive sense. Remember, our intuition is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. Our senses are not separate entities operating in isolation, they work in unison, creating a symphony of experiences that form our perception of the world. This intricate interplay of the senses adds depth and richness to our experiences. By understanding this, we can begin to appreciate the holistic nature of our sensory experiences and the complex processes that enable us to interact with our world. We can experiment with this interplay by focusing on one sense at a time and noticing how it affects our perception of our environment. For example, try closing your eyes while eating. Notice how this enhances your other senses, bringing the textures and flavors of the food to the forefront. Or, try to isolate sounds in a busy environment, concentrating on each one in turn. These exercises can offer insights into the interconnectedness of our senses and how they collectively shape our perception. Understanding this interconnectedness can also help us bring balance to our sensory experiences. For example, in a visually dominated world, we can consciously engage our other senses to create a more balanced, holistic experience. Whether it's savoring the flavors in a meal, enjoying the feeling of grass under our feet, or tuning into the soundscape around us, we have the ability to shape and enhance our sensory experience. Cultivating sensory awareness involves intentionally focusing on our senses and the information they provide. It's about bringing a sense of curiosity and wonder into our everyday experiences. This practice can significantly enhance our present moment awareness and bring a fresh perspective to our daily routines. One of the simplest ways to cultivate sensory awareness is by pausing at different moments during the day to check in with our senses. What can we see? What can we hear? What can we touch, taste, or smell? These simple check-ins can bring us back into the present moment, connecting us with our environment and ourselves. Another powerful way to develop sensory awareness is through a practice known as sensory meditation. This involves sitting quietly and directing our attention to each sense in turn, observing the sensory inputs without judgment. By repeatedly engaging in this practice, we can train our minds to become more attuned to our sensory experiences, deepening our connection with our world. By awakening our senses and tuning into our sensory experiences, we allow ourselves to live more fully, more authentically. We become more connected with our environment and ourselves. We find joy and beauty in the simplest of things. Life becomes richer, more vibrant, and more enjoyable. Awakening our senses can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Suddenly, the simple act of sipping a cup of tea becomes a rich sensory experience. The morning walk turns into an adventure of discovery, and even the routine chores become opportunities to engage with our world in meaningful ways. In conclusion, living a sensory-awake life means not just existing, but truly living. It's about fully immersing ourselves in our experiences, savoring each moment as it unfolds. As we cultivate this awareness, we begin to see the world with fresh eyes, hear it with new ears, touch it with heightened sensitivity, smell and taste it with renewed curiosity. In doing so, we unlock a life of richness, fullness, and profound beauty. As we conclude our exploration, let's cherish the immense potential of our senses. They provide us a direct connection to the world, enriching our experiences and bringing joy and beauty into our lives. Until next time, continue to explore your senses, and may your discoveries bring you new insights and enrich your experiences. Goodbye. For now.